There you go. So we're gonna work with the yummy squishy balls today. And there's lots you can do with this. Today we're gonna do some breath work and some diaphragm work and kind of like rib cage work with it. I learned something new this morning about breath work. So you know how when babies or young children or even older children cry and they're getting to a point where they're starting to self-soothe and they have the everybody know that kind of sound that a child makes, right? There is a breath technique that we can do as adults to kind of mimic that. It is the body's natural way of trying to calm the nervous system down, to have that double inhale and then an exhale. So if you breathe in like, and then an exhale, there can be something very soothing about that for your nervous system. So we're going to do that today as well. It's not quite the same as some pranayamic techniques where you take a breath and hold, or you take a bit of a breath and hold, and then a bit more of the breath and hold, and a bit more of the breath and hold. This is just a quicker rendition of that, which can be yet another tool to put in your toolbox when you are feeling anxious or just need something to kind of self-soothe, versus taking this giant deep breath in. It can be a little bit more regulating. Okay. All right. So have your ball handy and let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to just become conscious of our breathing. Okay. So much of the state of our emotional states live in what's happening with our breath. Our breath is a very good indicator of how we are on the inside. So let's take a moment and just explore, how are you breathing this morning? And as always, it's very difficult to get a glimpse at the natural breath. The minute we focus our attention, things shift. So just let that happen and tend to what your breathing feels like right now. Just observe. What are you sensing? Are you having any internal battles with yourself with the breath? Is there resistance or a little bit of an argument going on with how much or how little that your body wants to give and take with the breath? Let's see if we can let go of the sense of trying to control. This is what I mean by a little argument inside the breath. Sometimes when we can be manipulative of the breath, we meet with resistance or something just not feeling at ease. So try to let go. This is not the time for controlled pranayama. We're just trying to observe and create space for breathing. So instead of trying to control the breath in or out, see if you can put your tending toward opening the ribs, relaxing belly, making way for the diaphragm mobility. Feeling a sense of ease through the base of the skull and your neck, melting through your face, allowing your shoulders to soften toward the ground. And with all these subtleties of body actions, not necessarily breath actions, notice the breath again. Pay attention if you have a little resistance, if it has eased up a bit. Don't feel like you have to push the breath in farther than it wants to go. No topping off the tank, just allow. Can you feel as though the exhales are like a waterfall where ease comes as you exhale? I know you might need to blow your nose if you have, some congestion going on, but let's try this 2-part inhale. So it's fairly quick. And you don't have to do that little lift that I just did, but it might naturally happen. And then you can sigh on the exhale audibly, or you can purse lip exhale through the mouth. However the exhale wants to come, let it kind of be slow and at ease. And you can make noise, any kind of noise. Look, you're in your own home. Nobody's paying attention to you. So let it rip. If you want to have a lot of sound come out, let a lot of sound come out. If you're very quiet, be very quiet. Experiment with what is the best way for your exhales to soothe your nervous system. Remember, the long, steady exhales give us that parasympathetic nervous system pick me up where our ease and restful nature heightens. Just a little bit of a 2-part breath through the nose. It can be quick, it can be slow, whatever. Experiment. See what feels starting to be a natural thing for you to do. Let the second part of the breath get a little fuller. The second part of that inhale get a little fuller, almost as if the first inhale is just to kind of open things up and prepare. And the second burst of that inhale is to bring the air all the way in. Remember to keep the exhale slow. We don't want to hyperventilate. Notice if both nostrils are opening. See if you can feel that both sides of the chest, both parts of your lungs are opening. Maybe do one more or finish the round you're in. Pay attention to your mind, your body, how are you feeling? Place your hands together at your heart. Just have a moment to offer an intention. And let's release the hands. Okay, so let's come on to our back. And as you stretch out on your back, enjoy the horizontal. Okay, so just, add your little rubber ball into your other yogic props that are around you. Let's go ahead and stretch our body. Reach up overhead and feel that length. Stretching the right side, stretching the left side, just enjoying some of that opening and awakening the body. And then bring the knees into the chest and give yourself a hug. Okay, rock a little bit, swaying from side to side, letting your low back relax. Let your head soften into the ground. All right, let's circle the knees, kind of rolling in one direction, 2 or 3 times. Rolling in the other direction. And open the knees away from the midline, bring them back in. Okay, just feeling some movement, letting your hips open. Okay, right knee into the chest, left leg on the ground. Move around in your ankles, wiggling your toes, feeling your shins and your calves start to get a little more free, a little more loose. Keep your head heavy, your shoulders relaxed. How are you breathing? See if you can tend to the breath. Switch sides, left knee in, right leg long. Tend to the breath through your practice as best as you can. Remember, one of the most important things you can do with your breath is to breathe through your nose. Try to access that nasal breathing as much as you possibly can. All right, let's grab our strap and bring 2 legs straight up in the air for a moment. And just hang out there for a sec with your strap on your feet. Kind of hook the strap around your arches, around the inner heels. Move your femur bones away from the shoulders. Find a little bit of that length in your side bodies. And let's flex and point our feet here, just opening up the front of your feet and shins, opening up the bottom of your feet and your calves. Heavy, heavy head. All right, now release the strap, keep the legs there. Okay. Stretch your arms overhead and feel that side body length and the stability of your core. Notice your head, see if you can keep it nice and neutral. Relax and then slowly lower your legs down toward the ground. You can bend your knees at any moment to let that release happen a little bit more gently for your spine. Okay, stretch out your limbs, reaching into your edges, fingers, toes. Exhale, lift up your head, pull your knees into your chest, round your spine. On your next breath in, open big. Starring out your body, exhale, close up. All right, release your head down onto the ground. And put your feet down onto the ground. We're going to lift up into a few bridges. So just a few moving bridges to wake up some musculature. We're not going to stay just yet. So ground the 4 corners of your feet. Inhale, pelvis comes up, arms come up overhead. And then exhale and lower the pelvis and arms back down. Okay. So just finding that movement. My couch is in the way, so I have to kind of adjust my arms. If you're, adjusting because of the space you're in, that's fine too. Just find what works. One last time, lifting the pelvis wherever it will go. And then lowering the arms down to the ground. All right, let's roll over onto our side and come up onto our hands and our knees. Okay. As we find our way onto all fours, let's start some cat-cows. So nice to have some mobility in the spine. It really does help the rib cage find that mobility, which will in turn help our breath. So take your time to feel the movement of your spine, 1 vertebrae at a time. Enjoy the mobility that you have today. Right, after a couple of rounds of some cat-cows, feel free to move around in any way that serves. So you can roll around in your rib cage, move your pelvis, anything. You can move your head around, anything that feels really good in the body. It's such a great way to warm up and wake up all the little bits inside you. Can you be welcoming in your mind to what you're feeling in your body? All right, stretch back towards child's pose. Walk the hands forward. Feel that stretch through your shoulders. And you don't have to do that 2-part breath again, but let's breathe through our nose. Let's see what it feels like to slow the breath down a little bit. Have that full inhale. Now, maybe if your knees are up against your ribs, you might find that the breath is traveling into other places. Come back up onto all fours. Let's lift the left arm up in the air. Find that open chest. Exhale and slide that arm under. Feeling the twist here. Find your breath. Melt through your skull. Enjoy what you're feeling. And now bring that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Second side, arm lifting high. Exhale, slide that arm underneath you. Feel the twist in your vertebrae.
Relax your head, let it melt. A full breath here, both in and out, stretching open the shoulders.
Inhale, lift that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Curl your toes under again. Back to child's pose, but this time with our toes curled under. Just open up the bottom of your feet. Walk the hands forward. And now put your your hips high. You might need to walk your knees back a little bit and come into puppy pose. So our forearms are off the ground still. Maybe yours touch, it doesn't matter. Head can come down, maybe yours doesn't touch. Let your chest fall toward the ground with a little bit of resistance under your armpits. Feeling that thoracic spine. And then come back up onto all fours, neutral. Head whisk around your spine and let it get free. And then relax and melt again to child's pose. Walk the hands over to one side, doesn't matter which way, just find your favorite side. Drop weight into your sit bones and feel that opening through the side of your body. See if you can stay anchored through your finger pads so that you have that, little bit of a pin, and then you can stretch away from there to open up your side body. Okay, come back to center. Walk the hands over to the other side. Spread open the palm. Ground through your finger pads. Drop some weight into your sit bone. Feel the whole side chain open up. Let your head be soft and relaxed. How is your breath? And then relax, come back. We're going to come up onto our shins. Rising arms to the sky. Exhale, arms down at your sides. Melt your head, child's pose with arms down. One more time. Coming up, bringing the arms up overhead. And then exhale and release your arms down. Bring your hands forward. Lift up into dog pose. Extending through your spine here. And of course, if you're having trouble with your wrist or your elbow or your fingers or anything, you can make a different choice. You can bring your forearms onto the ground. You can stay on all fours, whatever feels good to you. Okay. If you have trouble with your back, try bending your knees a lot. See if you can get that spaciousness to come. Once you're up here, you can pedal your feet if you want to. You can relax your skull. Spread out the bones of your hands and your feet so the points of contact with the earth have that sensing going on where you yield and you feel. And walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Bend your knees as much as you want. Wag your tail while you're here. Shimmy your shoulders. Wobble your head. Whatever feels good. A halfway lift. The spine is growing. And then exhale and fold again. One more time, a halfway lift. Melt and fold. Climbing up, arms to the sky. Find breath, open chest. Let's cactus open the arms. Have a good squeeze here in the back of your body. Lift your arms straight up again. And release your hands down. Interlace your hands behind your back. Open the fronts of your collarbones. Don't lean forward first. Bring your shoulder blades to hug toward your spine. See if you can get your fists to touch, like your palms to touch. Squeeze those shoulder blades. And then relax that a little bit. Bend your knees and let your arms come over your head. Bobble your head. Let the fronts of your shoulders open up. And then release the arms. Grab onto the elbows. Feet are hip width apart. Bend your knees as much as you want. And as you hold onto your elbows, you can have a little, and you might need wider feet for this. You can have a little trunk, like your torso is an elephant trunk, that can sway from side to side. Let your neck be neutral. Or you can be still. All right, a halfway lift. Get the spine to grow again. Exhale and release. All right, let's step the left foot back. The right foot is in front, feeling into your lunge. Open up that back leg. Feel the hip flexor stretch. Let's bend and straighten the front leg. Okay, just coming in to that space where we have a sense of openness, that our breath can move us. Again, are you breathing through your nose as much as you possibly can? All right, and then find your way into a lunge. Ground yourself. When you feel ready, rise up, bring your arms to the sky, crescent lunge. Lean back a little bit if the back bend feels good in your body. To see what's available to open up through your ribs, your chest, your belly, your hips. And then release your hands down, back foot comes forward. Fold, relax your skull. A halfway lift, get longer in your spine, breathe, and then melt and relax again. Step your other foot back, left is in front. Finding a lunge, just welcoming your legs into your awareness. Feel that hip flexors open and stretch. Let's start to move. Bending and straightening with breath, that front leg. You can lift your toes and tuck your chin. You don't have to do this. Just find what's available. Are you breathing through your nose? Are you breathing steadily? Can you feel the movement of breath move through your lungs? Making room, making space. Find your way to that lunge again. Ground yourself, feel the roots. Rise up. Arms don't have to come all the way up. They can come all the way up. Just see what feels good. Feel that back hip open up. Maybe a little bit of a back bend here to see what's protective for your lumbar spine. Don't go too far back to a place where you're feeling smushy in your lumbar spine, but open your chest. Feel all that space. Okay, and then release your hands down to the ground, back to dog pose. Extending through your spine, breath by breath. All right, come forward to a plank. I'm having a little weight bearing issue, so I can't with my elbows, so I can't do a plank very well. So come into plank, don't look at me, do your thing. And of course, you can put your knees down on the ground if you want. You can have any support that's needed for this posture. Breathe well. Integrate the breath where it can go. See where it can go. Where is the breath easily traveling as you stabilize your core? And then let's find the ground. Roll the shoulders a few times so you feel that loosening of the grip that our shoulder blades often can have on our back. Inhale, cobra pose. The chest is open. Exhale. And melt back down. One more time. Shoulders back, not a lot of weight in your hands. See if you can use your body to do the work. Find the breath. Melt and relax. Come up on tall fours. Move the spine around. Feel that sense of mobility. Back up to dog pose you go. Okay, so lengthening through the spine. See what it feels like to have the breath in this posture. And then walk your feet forward when you feel ready. Soften your skull. Feel free to wag your tail, move your head around. Grab some blocks if you don't already have them. And feel that halfway lift with your hands on blocks. So spread out the bones of your feet. Take the heads of the femur bones way back so you feel all that space in the sides of your body. Try to find that gap between ribs and pelvis and lengthen. And then relax your head. Melt back down. We're going to come onto our shins. And of course, you can always do this standing if being on your shin is not a happy place for you. So gate pose. Have your right shin or right hip right over your right knee, and your shin is pressing into the ground. So we're not tipping the hip over this side, and we're also not going this way with the hip. Okay, so feel that extension of your arm now. Reach the right arm up. And we're going to open up the side of the body. Just feel that extension. Relax the shoulders down and find your breath. Come on up. We're still having our foot pointing straight toward the short edge of your mat, and come into a little bit of a side stretch here. Okay. Opening up the inner thigh, back to gate pose, straighten that leg, over to the side you go. And one more time, bend your knee, come into that side opening. Back up, switch legs, other shin on the ground. You can do this standing. If your knee doesn't like being on the ground, of course you can put a blanket underneath there. Reach the left arm up, extend, press your left shin into the ground, open up through that side of your body. Try not to face the ground. We're opening up our chest to the front. Reach into your fingers, drop into your shin. Keep your neck neutral. And relax that. Bend into that side stretch here, opening up the inner thigh. Find the breath. Coming back. Gate pose one more time. Press your shin, open up through the side of your body. Find your breath. Okay, and bend your knee. Opening up into an inner thigh stretch here. And then come back onto your shins. Come up to stand, so you can come through dog pose and then Uttanasana, or you can just find your way to standing. Okay, reach the arms overhead, your feet hip width apart, and stretch over to the side. Now grab onto your left wrist with your right hand to open up that side body. Now make a fist with your two hands. Roll forward. Roll to the other side and switch to grab onto your right wrist now. Extending through the side of your body. And now take the fist and roll back. And we're just going to roll a little bit. Be very protective of your lumbar spine when you're doing this. So we're not overstraining our back. We're just getting into our shoulders. Use your core. Go the other way. Spin the other direction. All right, land on top, cactus your arms, and release your hands down. You can keep your hands on your hips if you want. You don't have to, but we're going to do some hip circling. So big giant circles. Press the pelvis forward, over to the side, back. And then go the other direction. And opening up your hips. All right, take your legs wide, arms coming up. Exhale, come down, lean forward to your guides. Open up your inner thighs, let your back relax, especially if any of that bothered your back. Sometimes if we go a little too far, we can feel that. Ground the four corners of your feet. Standing back up. Find your breath. Back to a goddess. Ground through your legs. We're going to put our forearm on our knee and stretch over to the side. Drop weight into both feet. Come back to center. Elbow on the other side. Stretch on over. And if the elbow is too far, put your hand there. Coming back up. Goddess posture. Ground through the four corners of your feet. Breathing well. Feel your roots. Rising up. Turn your right foot out. Parsvakonasana. Elbow on your knee. Stretch your arm overhead. Now when we get into the side of our body, hopefully we can feel it through our hip all the way down to our foot. Feel even through your two rib cage, sides of your rib cage. Instead of kind of arching over. Feel that both sides can extend. Ground to the feet. Come on up. Turn your feet the other way. Parsva Konasana on this side, elbow or forearm on your knee. You can always put a block with your hand on it too. Find your breath. Arm stretches overhead. So see what it feels like to have this sense of both sides of it, instead of arcing, both sides of our ribs are extending. Root into the feet. So that's your support system. So feel your legs. Let the base of your skull soften. Relax the shoulders. Give way to a big, deep, full inhale and exhale. All right, come out of there. Turn your feet straight forward and come down to Pasrita. Now you can put your hands on blocks. You can put your head on the ground or anything in between. So if your head is low, lift your shoulders away from the ears. Try not to slump toward the ground. Thigh bones move back. Shin bones a little forward. Unlock your knees. Let's go ahead and bring our heel toeing feet back toward the midline. Uttanasana, fold. Grab your elbows again. Feel free to sway like a trunk. Let your neck relax. Halfway lift. Open your spine. Exhale and release again. Okay, step back to dog pose. Spine gets long. Feel that extension, open things up. Let that breath come in deeply. Let your exhale find its way long and smooth. Come to a plank. Stabilize yourself in a plank. Shoulders away from the ears. Feel that sense of sturdiness and support. Breathe into the sides of your body. And lower yourself down onto your belly. Interlace your hands behind your back. If you can't reach, palms go down at your sides, face down. Inhale, lift everything up. Feel your diaphragm kick into gear a little bit. Breathe well here. And then relax and melt. When you feel ready, back to all fours, and we're going to come onto our back. Have a block handy. Put the block between your thighs. Whatever width feels good to you. Feet are hip width apart. And you can have the block close up toward your pubic bone or further down toward your knees, and that might determine whether you have the block thin or half or a middle width. We're going to find our way into bridge pose here. So the feet ground. Before you lift, ground the feet. Feel the four corners. And then as you're ready, lift up onto a bridge pose. Interlace your hands underneath you if that's comfy. If it's not, arms down at your sides. Open the chest. Breathing well. Gentle hug of the block. You're not overpowering it. But we're activating our inner thighs, we're activating our glutes, but we're also activating our hamstrings and our quads. So find all your muscles. Open up the rib cage as best as you can. Bring the breath in. Lower yourself down to the ground. Take the block out of there and windshield wiper your knees left and right. Just letting your back relax. Simple twist. Lift your hips, scoot them over to the right. Knees come up, drop them left. Open up into your twist. Turn your head, let your chest expand. We're going to do a little bit of arm movement while we're here. So we're going to turn our head left as we swipe our right arm down next to our pelvis. And then as we swoop with our hand on the ground the whole time, swoop your arm in a big arc over your head and turn your head right as you do so. As you swing your arm down toward the pelvis, hand stays on the ground, turn your head left. As you arc your arm up, turn your head right. How is your breath integrating into this? Pick up your feet. Find neutral for a moment. Don't go right over to the other side. Find neutral first. Integrate. Have a beautiful breath. And then we're going to lift our hips, scoot them over to the left, knees come up toward our chest and drop right. Find that twist, left hand is now on the ground. Start by turning your head left for the initial twist. And then as we start to move, we're going to turn our head to the right as we swoop the left hand down by our pelvis. And then turn your head left as you arc like a snow angel, that arm up overhead. Now you may have, some restrictions in your body, so that's okay. Always just find the path that is comfortable movement pattern for you. Sometimes just changing the angle of your palm or, bending the elbow a little bit. There's so many little variations that you can do to try to help your body receive. All right, come back to center. Again, a neutral pelvis, feet on the ground. Have a breath here where you just relax. And then we're going to starfish our body out. Spread your wings, wiggle your fingers and your toes. And exhale and draw your knees into your chest. Relax your head, bring your feet up in the air, happy baby pose. Drop weight into your hands that are on your feet. Rock a little bit, you can sway from side to side. Left foot on the ground, right foot on top of left knee, reverse pigeon pose. Either grab behind your thigh or the front of your shin, just letting that right hip start to open. If movement helps you, you can rock a little bit. Head is heavy. Try not to let the effort of, grabbing onto your leg bring tension to your neck or shoulders. Heavy head, relaxed neck, soft shoulders. Then put your feet down onto the ground. Again, a breath in neutral. And change sides. Left foot on top of right knee. Grab onto that knee or the calf or the hamstring. Just find the place that feels good. And then it's okay to move a little bit if this helps you to relax into the pose. It's okay to be still. See what feels right for your body. Square pelvis. Try not to let your pelvis do weird things like hiking one hip up. Let your head and neck and shoulders get very relaxed and heavy. Feel your breath. Relax, neutral again, 2 feet on the ground. All right, now it's time to grab your smushy ball. Okay, we're going to start with this
underneath our chest, kind of closer to the armpits. Okay, and now try to let your body rock a little bit. So, you can kind of slide a little bit on this ball. So you kind of roll a little bit toward your front and then roll a little bit toward your back. It's a little bit of a self massage of some of the muscles and all of the other tissues that are under your armpit and in your side body. We're starting to just open up our body for some good, healthy breathing. So you can adjust how full the ball is depending on your comfort. Okay, so I have my hand in front of me just as a little bit of a support system so that it can help me rock. My knees are bent, my hips are a little bent. Just find what's comfortable. You can put something under your head. My head's resting on my arm, but maybe you need something more supportive. Okay, now move this ball down to the lower edge of your rib cage. Okay, so we're still in the ribs. Try to melt into the ball. So, we want to have this kind of roll. You can do a lot of movement here or a little bit. Just see what feels good. We're just opening up some of the tissues in our rib cage. Yeah, you can also just stay. Okay, so if you're not in the mood for rocking and rolling, you put a block under your head and just breathe here. There's so many ways to play with these balls. In the past, we've done some, big breath holds and then a release, which we're going to do in just a moment. Only once though, not in multiple planes. All right, so even if you're still moving now, stop. Okay, so we're just gonna, and you can adjust, find a place where that ball is just in a happy place where it's feeling like it's a life vest for your lungs. Okay, so feel yourself breathe. If it's helpful, put your hand on your top rib so that you can feel both sides of your rib cage. Let's deep breath in, hold it for a moment. And then as you exhale, kind of smush those top ribs down toward your bottom ribs. All right, going to release that and move to the other side. So same thing, if you need a block for your head, take a block for your head. We'll do 2 passes. Sometimes when I do this, I do little micro passes and just spend a lot of time. But for today, we're just going to have 2 places. So kind of like high up near, closer to your armpit. And then we'll go lower in a minute, but just feel yourself rock on this ball. And sometimes it takes a little time to kind of get the feel for giving yourself this little massage for your lungs, for all the muscles around your ribs. You can use your arms as support. Bend your knees, bend your hips so you're in a nice relaxed state. Sometimes it takes a little time to get the hang of what this is supposed to do and be like in your body. So don't worry if it feels awkward. The more you practice with it, the looser your body and the more fully your body receives. All right, now we're going to move this ball a little bit lower on the ribs, kind of out of the armpit, but still in rib cage. And again, you can kind of roll back and forth on the ball. The most important thing you're doing here is breathing. This is all supposed to help our breath. That's the whole goal of what we're doing. So make sure you're not concentrating so hard on what you're doing that you forget to breathe. Let the softness of the ball give the feedback to the lung tissue and the ribs that all is well, that your nervous system can relax. You can melt into this. Now find a spot, it might be kind of in between the two, or maybe you're right where you are, it doesn't matter. Find your spot. And stack your ribs so that one is over the other. If you want to put your hand on your rib cage, your top hand on your rib cage. Take a deep breath in, hold that frame for a moment. And then exhale, smush your ribs. Full breath. Nice smushy ribs. All right, now we're gonna take this ball and put it, we're gonna lie on your belly and put this ball under your sternum. And if you can get, kind of on that zygomatic arch at the bottom edge of your sternum, great. If you just ate, this is gonna feel terrible, so don't do it if you just ate some food right before class. And so just find a place on your sternum that you can tolerate. Sometimes a little more smush in the ball, so a little less air can be very helpful. And just feel the counter pressure of your body against the ball. I promise you, if you do this regularly, it gets more comfortable, but your body gets used to having the pressure. All right, so let's go ahead and relax. Come up onto all fours for a moment. Let your diaphragm hang, fall. All right, then sit back on your heels or on a block, whatever is comfy, for a moment. Let's just experience our breath sitting up. You have a lot of feedback. There's a lot of perception now from the massage work. Notice your breathing. We're going to do that 2-part inhale. Again, with a long, steady exhale through your nose, everything through your nose. If you want the exhale to come out through some pursed lips, if that helps you slow down, that's fine. But for sure, the inhale is through your nose. Okay, so just a little 2-part breath. The first one's shorter, the second one's a little longer. Then a long exhale, like you're just kind of coasting down a hill. Try not to let the breath in live in your neck and shoulders, live in your lungs. After this next round, just return to some normal breath. The last thing we're going to do is just a full Ujjayi breath. So think of your belly expanding, your ribs expanding, your collarbones expanding. Have that 3-part breath, okay? And on the exhale, collarbones relax, ribs relax, belly relax. Is there anywhere you're not feeling movement? And so in the fullness of your lung capacity, bottom ribs, or bottom lungs, middle lungs, top lungs, is there anywhere that you're not feeling movement? Front, back, sides, bottom ribs, middle ribs, armpits, collarbones, sternum, rib cage in the back, all these places. Is there anywhere that you're not feeling some movement?
And if you find a place, see if you can just gently dance with that place and find a millimeter of movement. Doesn't have to be huge. Remember to keep the exhales long and slow. A lot of times we can get so focused on what we're feeling on the inhale that we forget that the movement happens on the exhale too. Come forward onto all fours, get rid of that block, back to child's pose. Rock a little bit, and sway from side to side. Breathe down your spine. Then come onto your back. And anything you need to complete your practice, knees, chest, a happy baby pose, some twisting, anything at all, a little inversion, anything at all, whatever your body is feeling like it needs. And then remember that Shavasana can look so many different ways. Today I'm going to put my legs up on the couch, but you can be totally flat on the ground. You can be lying on your belly or your side. You can have any support that your body needs. All right, so as you settle, and there's no rush, if you're still doing a couple of poses to release your back or whatever you're doing, take your time. When you do settle down into Shavasana, when the time is right, first melt your body. Just feel your bones and your muscles drop. Let your body get heavy everywhere. Head, spine, shoulder blades, arms, pelvis, legs, everything is heavy. You don't have to manipulate your breath, but just be aware for a couple of breaths of your exhales, being nice and slow.
Full breath in. Deep breath out. Start to invite movement in your body. Take your time. Feeling your way eventually onto your side. As you come onto your hands and roll, push yourself up carefully. Find a comfortable seat. Just notice if your breath is different than when you came to class. Your mind, your energy, how you feel. Okay, let's offer the gifts of our practice. Send your loving kindness to another. Namaste. All right, thank you, everyone.